Hi everybody, I'm back again and I'm going to do a second video. This one is going to be based on some of the conversation in the last Witch's Lair, and because of bad connections I didn't really participate a whole lot of my opinions on certain things that they were talking about, and I had been really thinking about a lot of the stuff. The conversation was pretty interesting. The first topic was, I think, the feelings on Imbolc, and I don't know exactly what they were doing because at that time Google Plus was giving me all kinds of installation problems and wouldn't actually connect to the server. But this time of year, and I've noticed it in my patterns, I'm starting to do what people would consider spring cleaning. And I'm not going all out on it. I'm just taking areas of clutter and dealing with this little problem here and this little problem there. And I started reflecting back. Imbolc was always the most difficult of the Sabbats for me. Samhain is very clear cut about the ending of time of the year, the ending of the harvest, the ending, all of these kind of things where we start prepping for the long winter nights ahead. Our thoughts go to the people that we have lost in the previous year, or maybe even in further years if we haven't really reconciled with that yet. It's a bringing back of all those memories of people, special loved ones, and a time of reflection of the whole year. You are sowing, you're reaping what you sowed all year. So things are coming to fruition. You're seeing how fruitful you were. You're starting to go inward and start the contemplation of the dark, the night. It's the time of the long night, the dark night of the soul. Each of us deal with those things differently. In the past, their dark night of the soul was really depending on what they had harvested, was whether or not, and it was a gamble, that they had enough supplies to last through the winter, when they were generally more cut off from the rest of the clans. They started going inward to each other, and whatever the household was made of, that was, everyone was going inside. They were finishing up the outside chores. They were going indoors as the winter turned. They were working on things of the inside of the house at this point, finishing up food prep and all of these things. They were trying to avoid anything like infestation of mice, of any kind of insect or bug infestation that could take out their food supply. It wasn't always a matter of did they harvest enough, but were they going to have any casualties of the food supply along the way through the winter months. Then there were the times where people would start getting sick, and were they prepared? Were they strong enough to survive any winter illness? There was the depressions, the lack of light, and they really started looking forward to hitting the winter solstice, because that meant that they were halfway through what they had to go through, and that halfway mark meant that they had hit at least the very bottom of the low, and now we're going to start swinging upwards. So the light at the end of the tunnel was starting to form, and now it was a race to see if they had enough stored for them to survive until the sun came fully back and they could start planning for spring. So I got all of that relevance of those sabbats leading up to that. But when it got to Imbolc, you see there was Samhain supposed to be the end of the year, or they would call it the Witch's New Year. Yule was the return of the sun. He was coming back at this point. Mother Earth is feeling the quickening of the pregnancy. She's starting to grow with all the possibilities of the new life, but still yet it's buried in darkness. But there's starting to be signs of the promise of new life. So when it got to Imbolc, because here we'd also go into the new year for the rest of the mundane world. The new year is January 1st. So Imbolc was kind of like, okay, well, what is this? It's not spring, and it's not the birth of the sun really yet, because it's quickened, but it's not ready to be birthed yet. That's spring. So it's that midterm, that nesting period of time. And as I got older and realized that the sabbats were seasons unto themselves, they were not single days. They were to be slowly, this is what you were to doing, what you focused on for periods of time. And the periods of time were 6 weeks. It took me a long time to fathom all of those nuances of those sabbats and how extended they truly were. That it was not just a moment in time, a single day. It was the whole season to celebrate these kind of things. So Imbolc was still a little bit confusing, because being that it meant in the belly, okay, the goddess is still pregnant. It also translated in one other one, the ewe's milk, because it was the time the sheep were being born. Well, to put that in relationship to me living in South Texas, there's no sheep. It's really not the time that the cows are born. It's, we have sometimes everything is still green because we have such a mild winter here, or sometimes it's real bitterly cold, but only for 2 weeks at a time and the sun comes out. Or this year we're having, I think although it's more cold, miserable, rainy, dark, windy, for South Texas it's cold because of that wet and that wind. But it's steady. It's not going to extremes. We're not getting deep hard freezes. The temperature is not 32 one day and 92 the next day. And these kind of winters, when they last, they linger for longer, but they put a temperance on even our summer, so that we're not 113 and in a drought. These are more the years when we have the steady rainfall through the summer months and stuff like that. And so that's the kind of season it is here this year. And I like it because it's an actual season right now, versus it can be confusing when it's below freezing one day and the next day, it's 80s, and bright and sunny. And the body doesn't tend to, it's hard, I think, to keep the mind in relevance to the sabbats on those crazy years with the crazy extremes in the weather. This year, I naturally fell into my rhythm, and Imbolc now makes so much more sense to me than it ever did before in the past. Like I said, I have been calmer. I have been more reflective. I have found myself wanting to clean. The VR to Gretchen on her channel about the bedside table, it got me to clean out that bedside table. It wasn't like the videos showed. It wasn't originally my bedside table, so it had a bunch of crap in it. But I needed the table for something else, and so I snagged it and put that there. But now it's a functional area for me, and I have my journals. I can put a deck of cards there. I have all the little supplies so that I can put lotion on my hands while I'm in bed, a place to put my remotes for my TV. Everything is organized and much happier, and it's putting me in a much better state because things are where they're supposed to be. I'm also seeing myself do that internally as well. My eating habits are changing. I'm getting healthier. I'm drinking the vibration, color water therapy stuff that I created with a long crazy name. And I am truly thinking that I'm finding my rhythm. This is going to be a wonderful year. I just feel it. As Imbolc approaches, I am in the mode of taking care of the small things inside the house since it's too cold to do anything outside right now. It won't be long before I need to start planting some different things in the yard. My yard has nothing but weeds. This used to be a rent house before I purchased it, and so it was a fixer-upper, and the yard was not the thing that I had focused on because I needed to make sure that the plumbing had some minor issues, but for a woman living alone, I had some things to take care of. Wasn't quite as easy for me because I had to teach myself how to do these things. I am enjoying that, and I hire somebody that when I can't figure it out, but I try to figure it out first because I like the independence of that. I don't like being rescued. I don't like thinking that I'm not capable of working out certain issues. I'm not stupid. Anything that requires me to do heavy lifting or skills that are beyond my knowledge, I'm going to let an expert deal with it. But there's something empowering about fixing the flap on your toilet or putting in a light switch or a little electrical plug. It's not that difficult. It's actually very, very easy. And so to change out an electrical plug, to put the GFI breaker on there, it was only like $15 for the part. And I could put it in where it would have cost me $75 to $100 to get somebody to do it for me. So, or to be at somebody else's beck and call and wait for them to actually get around to coming to help me because I'm having to ask a relative or, you know, impose on friends. I don't like to do that. I'm very independent like that, and it is one of the things I need to work on, asking for help when I really probably need it. But I'm prideful that way, and I'm going to end up having to learn the hard way and then go to someone saying, oh, can you help me because I can't do this? But it kills me to be that person. I don't like doing that. So that's sort of my thoughts on Imbolc. I think it's the time of the year where we cleanse, purify, fix, correct the things on the inside. We're probably getting through those dark nights of the souls already, and we're getting anxious and very anticipating the spring's arrival. Imbolc is on Groundhog Day. There's a significance to that as well. And if he sees his shadow, it's 6 more weeks of winter. And it's the days of Mardi Gras. It's the days of Lent. Ash Wednesday comes up. And that, again, is the time that really marks spring cleaning. It's a time to do internal body cleanses and stuff like that, Jewish Passover, the different religions. But the pagans also practiced all of these things as well. And I understand why. I think in South Texas, though, I found myself going and doing this a little earlier this year. And I'm really enjoying the fact that I've really noticed that my rhythms are attuning to the season and attuning to those the wheel turning, and I really do enjoy it. I haven't reconciled that I'm about a month ahead of cycle, but I'm on my cycle and it feels good. And because I'm doing it slow, I can see how it's a lead up all the way to Ash Wednesday. It's the month of my birthday, so it's also my solar return. That may be why I am feel like I'm tidying up some loose ends, and I am trying to spruce up for the new year, when by all means it's already been the new year. But like I said, I'm finding it's more a season, and I'm taking it that way. And so now I don't feel quite so stressed about the sabbats. I had made a comment in another video that I was no longer going to stress myself out. These holidays were supposed to be enjoyable. They were supposed to be more about family and friends and communion, getting in touch with your deeper spiritual side, and less about materialism. And so I have been focusing on that, and that was my intention. And Thanksgiving and Christmas was a slight stress. Christmas was so relaxing. This January has been very relaxing. And now, because I feel like I'm really relaxing into myself, my life, my witchiness, really focusing in on the wheel of the year, and I just finally feel like I've relaxed enough to feel my own biorhythms. And without the stress there and without the craziness, my body seems to be, my body and my mind and my soul all seem to be in harmony with each other, and the rhythm seems right. It seems like everything is in place. So that's my thoughts on Imbolc this year, and I can't wait until I set my altar and I clear and cleanse the last of the Yule things, but I'm still focusing in on the God. I am still focusing in on the goddess as she starts to nest, and I feel basically like that I'm nesting, that I'm sprucing up here and there, and it's sort of like getting ready for the impending birth. And as that approaches, then I'll be going out and I'll be playing in the dirt, and I have decided that everything that I'm going to plant at this house is going to serve a dual purpose. I want to plant beauty because everyone wants a beautiful yard, a beautiful house, but I have decided only to plant what I can use either magically or food-wise. So each plant that I'm going to choose is going to have a multiple purpose. Some of the taller things that I'm going to plant for color and size will be things like hibiscus, because I can harvest the flowers. I can use them in magic work, and I can also use them in teas. I can also use the red and pink hibiscus flower as dyes and for my artwork. So it's going to serve multiple purposes. I'm going to plant a juniper because I really want to be able to harvest the branches off of a juniper so that I can make my own Christmas wreaths and things like that, but also to burn the pine in my fire pit, use the juniper berries, use them in many ways: incense, medicinal, crafting, for the aroma of them, for pest control. When you burn that, it tends to fumigate the yard and stuff with mosquitoes and fleas and things like that. So I want to plant everything with multiple duty, and then intermixed with the larger scale things, I want to plant, tuck herbs and vegetables in here and there. The flowers that I plant, I want them to be edible flowers, or flowers for medicines, or for the tinctures, stuff like that, or for magic work. I have a vision now, and now that I feel like I'm flowing with the rhythm of time right now, which is very nice to say, I think that I'm going to have a really good time with all of that. This video is getting pretty long, and I'm kind of rambling on, but that's my thoughts on Imbolc. I'd like to hear y'all's and what y'all are doing out there too. So if anybody wants to do a video response, I sure would like to hear it. And thanks for the Witch's Lair. Even though I had technical difficulties and couldn't participate really that day, there was very interesting topics, and I would have loved to have put my 2 cents worth in on them. And thank you, and merry part.